I've always said that if you really want to know someone's soul, watch how they act over breakfast. Not a brunch, not a networking meeting, but a real deal, early morning, I still sleepy flannel shirt wearing side of hash browns breakfast. Something about that hour, it makes people more honest. They don't have their guards up yet, and sometimes when they say between bites of pancakes, yeah, it's going to stay with you forever. So if you're new here, welcome. You found a little virtual roadside diner of stories. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button for me, hit the thumbs up. It really does help us. And if the road brings you back, there's always coffee and always room at the table. Now there's a diner outside of Winslow, nothing fancy, but they've got the best over easy eggs on this side of the Grand Canyon. I sat at the counter, big guy in faded ball cap sat 2 stools over. He's eyeing his plate like it had somehow betrayed him. "Yolk's busted." That's what he grumbled to the waitress. She just shrugged at him. "World's busted too, Earl. Eat your toast." Both of us started to chuckle, but there was a weight behind his eyes. You could see it. We got to talking, nothing deep, road conditions, diesel prices, the usual. But just as I was finishing my coffee, he said, "You ever feel like you've been driving your whole life but still haven't gotten anywhere?" I looked at him and said, "More often than I'd like to admit." He smiled, for real this time. Sometimes it takes one honest answer to make somebody feel less alone. Now in Seligman, there's a breakfast spot with more Route 66 signs than any wall space can be found. I watched an elderly couple come in, probably married 50 years or better. How do I know that? I judged them by the way they walked in together, and they didn't have to talk to communicate. Now they ended up sitting across from a teenage girl who looked like she had just slept in the back of a car. All she had was a backpack, she had headphones, and she had this defensive look that said, "Don't talk to me." But then the man, again, older, white beard, suspenders, a smile like warm cornbread, if I can say that, he reached over and offered her the syrup. Didn't say a word, just a small act of breakfast diplomacy. Now she took it. I heard her say thank you. And by the time the check came, they were all talking like they were family. Well, another one was sitting alone at a booth in the corner. She was scribbling a little spiral notebook between her bites of waffle. I asked the waitress, who was she? Waitress said she comes here every Sunday. She says she likes to pray for folks. She keeps a list. I knew she was up to something. You could tell just by the way she was writing and looking at people. When I passed her way on the way out the door, I nodded politely. She stopped me and she said, "I don't know your story, but I'm praying peace finds you anyway." That one got me. I hadn't said a word, and still she saw something in me. In reflection, we think grace only shows up in churches or in chapels. But I found it more often in diners, poured out with the coffee, buttered into biscuits, scribbled onto paper napkins. It's not always loud. Sometimes it sounds like, "You want the rest of this toast?" Sometimes it's just syrup passed across the table. And sometimes it's a stranger writing your name in the margins of a prayer list you didn't know existed. Every now and then, when the timing is just right, the gospel gets preached between mouthfuls of eggs and someone finally realizing they're not eating alone. Just a reminder to be kind to your fellow travelers. If you're sitting at a counter and someone looks at you like they're carrying something heavy, offer the syrup. buy their coffee, or just sit with them in silence. Because sometimes gospel doesn't always come with a sermon. Sometimes it shows up in a booth with cracked vinyl, a refill of coffee, and a quiet reminder you still belong to this world. Don't forget that fuel, coffee, and kindness will keep this going. And if you'd like to give a little something, you can do so at Venmo. You'll find me at Faith and Good Courage. Faith and Good Courage. No strings. Just a small ask and a very giant thank you. I'll see you next week, but until then, travel well, my friends. Have faith and good courage.